The race to find a vaccine for COVID-19 is nonstop, with several pharmaceutical companies hoping to be the first. Pfizer announced it will try to approve a vaccine by mid-November. 10 TV's Karina Nova joins us now to break down the vaccine trials happening and why the rush has some people concerned.
COVID-19 vaccine trials are happening all across the world, and here at Ohio State, a trial for the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine could be coming soon. But in a new CNN poll, only about half of Americans said that they would try to get a COVID-19 vaccine once it became available. I spoke to the lead doctor on vaccine trials here at OSU about the process and safety put in place to get vaccines approved for use.
So nobody wants to wait, right? Nobody wants to wait for a vaccine.
Dr. Susan Kolatar has worked on trials at OSU since the 1980s on treatment trials for HIV, hepatitis, and tuberculosis. And now she's waiting on approval from the FDA to hold a trial for the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine.
All the advances we've made in clinical medicine is usually because someone has participated in a trial and given their, time and effort and blood sometimes.
That vaccine trial process is done in multiple phases, which at every point requires approval to move forward. As Dr. Kolatar explains, the COVID-19 vaccine is getting a faster push with the FDA's emergency use authorization.
In the pre-COVID world, that phase one typically took like a year, maybe a year and a half. Now it's been compressed and it takes less time, but still the safety is key.
That rush to find a vaccine is a hot topic of discussion among many, including parents who've had to make big life changes and decisions in the name of safety.
I do worry about it being rushed because of how political it's become.
I would much rather wait longer for a better vaccine than rush and have one that doesn't work really well or isn't super efficient.
If somebody came to you and said, I think they're rushing this, I don't trust the process, what would you say to them?
There are tried and true processes for the conduct of clinical trials. Everything in the COVID world has been compressed somewhat, but it does not make anybody think that safety is sacrificed for that. It is clearly the thing that is the driving factor for all the things that we do, and we will continue to learn things.
Dr. Kolatar credits the speed of the process on advancements in science and the large number of people who are participating in trials, even though, like the AstraZeneca trial, there are pauses along the way.
Stopping enrollment for short whiles is a common thing in trials. I mean, I can tell you in the trials that I've done in the past, there's been times that we've had enrollment pauses because somebody recognized something that didn't seem to be expected.
She says people also should understand how vaccines work.
So you're going to give someone COVID and see what happens? No. I'll go back to influenza. One of the common misperceptions about flu shots is that people get the flu when they get the flu shot. They do not. My grandmother used to argue with me about that all the time.
And she says you can't argue with history about the efficacy of other vaccinations.
And we know that works because of a whole list of vaccines that work, right? So measles, mumps, rubella, I actually had all those childhood diseases. And so, but people don't think about that quite as much because there's not so much disease because of immunizations.
In fact, Dr. Kolatar got her flu shot the day of our interview and says she trusts the process and will encourage people to get the COVID-19 vaccine once it is approved.
Do I think it'll happen in the next month, like before any big events? I don't, because I actually do think that's rushing it.
In the meantime, she and her team will continue finding other solutions to help defeat a worldwide pandemic.
I think what will make us collectively all feel better is when we have a vaccine that seems to work, when we have treatment options that can really help people, particularly those people who are at really risk for a significant disease, feel better. And then maybe even have oral treatment options. We're actually working on some of those too.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that COVID-19 vaccines may not initially be recommended for children when they become available. That's because children have not yet been part of any clinical trials. And the FDA is currently reviewing the AstraZeneca trial that would be done here at OSU and across the U.S. Here on Ohio State's campus, Karina Nova, 10 TV News.
Karina, thank you. Now, to learn more about the vaccine trials and how to sign up for one, you can click on this story on 10tv.com.